What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys in build up to the Chelsea Spurs game at Stamford Bridge, a massive first London derby of the season. We're here to do a combined 11 with Louis Beneventi. So I think without further ado, let's just get straight into it.
Okay.
Let's get straight into it. We're going to go for a 3-4-3 formation. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like when we do these combined 11s with other clubs, we usually play different formations, but because we both play three at the back, it's going to be a bit easier in that sense. But goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy against Hugo Lloris. What are we thinking?
I want to hear your argument for Lloris first, because I'm actually quite intrigued, because I'm not on the fence per se. I think Mendy is the better keeper overall, and over the past couple of years, you know, especially I like the underdog story with him, but then he's obviously gone and proved it after a couple of nations. And I think obviously Hugo Lloris has had a history of being a bit calamitous, but he's also a good keeper. But why Lloris and why not Mendy? That's what I want to know.
I think Lloris first was done over a longer period than Mendy. Mm-hmm. I think right now he's still one of the top keepers. We offered him a new contract because he's still one of the top keepers in the Premier League right now. Okay. I think in terms of shot stopping, he's I think second to none in the Premier League. I think obviously distribution, maybe Mendy wins that one. But I think in terms of actual goalkeeping ability, there are very, very few goalkeepers that win out against Hugo Lloris. And you talk about calamitous. Did you see Mendy in the Champions League against Madrid? Like, come on, Mendy has a clanger in him, let's be honest. I know, but Lloris is the only one that gets it tied to him, whereas other keepers it gets forgotten.
Mendy,
and I think Mendy as well recently is making a lot of mistakes.
Okay, but Mendy has been up for the Golden Glove Award. He's won the African Cup of Nations over the past 12 months. He's been considered one of the best keepers in Europe by most clubs. Champions League winner. Again, World 11 World nominee as well. Lloris wasn't in that conversation. Mendy, I think right now, I think most people, if you were to put it to a vote, would go Mendy over Lloris.
I don't know if they would necessarily.
It is a difficult one because you're talking about two of the best keepers in the Premier League here. They're both probably in the top four goalkeepers in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about the likes of Alisson, Ederson, Mendy and Lloris, those are the four best goalkeepers in the Premier League. It's very difficult to put either on a pedestal. I think when you're talking about Lloris, you're talking about, first of all, our captain, very important in the dressing room. You're talking about World Cup winning captain as well for France, elite shot stopping. And I think that he did have a bit of a period where he did have quite a lot of mistakes in him, but I think in the past year and a half, he actually has eradicated that quite heavily. And I think he's been very, very consistent over the past year and a half. And in my personal opinion, I think he just about edges Edouard Mendy right now.
I think Mendy's more mistakes than last year than Lloris.
I think by the sound of things, I mean, this is your channel as well, and you're both going to say Lloris, so I'll forfeit that. However, I want the entire Chelsea backline without fail.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Can't argue that.
We shall
I can definitely argue that.
Let's get into it. So Lloris is in goal. We're going to start with the right centre back. It's Azpilicueta against Christian Romero.
Dave, easy.
Do you think if
5 years ago, maybe?
No,
yeah, exactly.
No, Azpilicueta without doubt. Azpilicueta he's done it consistently over the past. If we're talking about consistency, you're talking about World Cups, which was 2018. I'm sorry, you know, you can't use that argument for Lloris and then not put Azpilicueta in there. And then you've got the same for Thiago Silva, who is without doubt last season, and when you know, Virgil van Dijk was out injured, the argument was whether it was him or Rudiger was the best centre-back in the Premier League at that point, and then the left centre-back...
I think the argument was Rudiger, not Azpilicueta.
No, I'm talking about Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva.
So you got, I think, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly. It picks itself. I'm not budging on that.
Cuti Romero is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League right now. I don't think... I respect Azpilicueta, and I think in his day he was a phenomenal centre-back, and I still think he's a good centre-back. But you're talking about Romero, who's one of the top centre-backs right now in the Premier League.
You're shifting the argument.
Why is that shifting the argument?
Because you've shifted the argument for Lloris.
Not really. Now. I think Lloris right now is better than Mendy as well.
He's not though.
That's exactly what I said in my argument for Lloris. I said right now I think Lloris edges Mendy.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
Even right now,
the back line is Chelsea. It has to be.
I think there's a conversation to be had for the other two in terms of potentially in Chelsea's favour. But I think for that particular one, Romero or Azpilicueta, I think you have to go with Romero. You have to. He is literally one of the best defenders in the Premier League
I don't
at
think
the moment.
there's not a team in the Premier League he doesn't start for, in my opinion. That's in my opinion. I believe he's that good. I don't think there's a team in the Premier League he doesn't start for, and I don't think you can say the same for Azpilicueta.
I think Azpilicueta is past his best, and that's the facts of the matter.
But he's again, we're talking about proven track records. You're talking about a captain, which is he's still very, very, very solid. If you talk about teams that you don't often get past Cesar Azpilicueta. Very, very rarely. In fact, in terms of defensive records, Chelsea have a better defensive record than Tottenham Hotspur recently, and Azpilicueta has been such a key part of that. He's a Champions League winner in terms of the 11 over the past year or so. He's then obviously still been a key part of Chelsea's squad last season, despite ageing, despite getting older. And he's been, if you look at the finals, right, obviously Liverpool, one of the highest scoring teams in the world, could not get past that Chelsea backline. Who was in that without fail?
Look, if you're talking about who's achieved more in the game and stuff like that, Azpilicueta wins. There's no two ways about it. That's because Romero's a young defender coming through, and Romero, he's already won Copa America, who was a very central figure to that. Lionel Messi wanted him at Barcelona, by the way. That never happened. He ended up coming to Spurs.
Yeah, but
and that's a true fact, by the way. And also, last year he was Defender of the Year in Serie A. You know, you're talking about good pedigree here for Christian Romero. He's come into the Premier League and completely hit the ground running. Very aggressive player. He'll always step out of defence and win that ball. And also he adds the other way. He's always an option going forward, Christian Romero. So at the moment, as it stands, the two players, what they've shown since Romero has joined the Premier League, I don't think you can pick Azpilicueta. I really don't.
I'm not going to win this argument, am I? This is not going to happen, is it? I've laid it out. I've laid out the fact that you're talking about Azpilicueta, who stopped Sadio Mane, one of the highest scoring wingers in the world.
Mate, Japhet Tanganga once stopped Sadio Mane as well.
Yeah, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it consistently, did he? Azpilicueta has done it for years, and last season Liverpool could not get past us.
You just say the same for us.
Couldn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when we won at Etihad and we won we drew at Anfield. You know what I mean?
Liverpool didn't score against us in any of the in 90 minutes. 120 minutes in two cup finals, and it took a penalty for them.
Yeah, but it's very simplistic to say that's down to Azpilicueta. You know, you're talking about system that Tuchel implemented. You're talking about other players in your back three. You're talking about strong midfielders as well. It's not just about Azpilicueta.
No, it's not. But Azpilicueta,
and I'm sure if Romero was in Azpilicueta's position, it would probably be the same outcome.
Yeah, fine. You can have Romero. I'm having the other two. I'm not. That doesn't shift. I'm having Thiago Silva and having Koulibaly.
All right. So we've got Lloris in goal. We've got Romero right centre back. Let's talk about the central centre backs now. Eric Dyer against
Thiago Silva. Thank you. Move on. Next.
Well, no, I'm joking.
Move on. Next. Doesn't even matter.
No, I'll give you Thiago Silva. Sim, you agree with that?
Unfortunately, I mean Silva. Yeah, I mean he surprised me how good he is at such an old age. At 37,
fine wine, mate.
He's still an unbelievable centre back. I would say he's fairly still injury prone, isn't he? He still picks up a lot of injuries.
Well, it's not really injury prone. I think we just kind of pick and choose so he doesn't get injured.
And I think Dyer has been sensational since Conte's come in. But I think if you're saying for one season, who would I pick right now, Dyer or Silva? I'd still have to pick Silva.
Yeah.
I think he's a better player. If I'm saying Lloris is the better player right now with Mendy, which I do think that, I do think Silva right now is the better player. Not to say I don't think Dyer's brilliant.
All right, look, we've got a back two so far of Cuti Romero and Thiago Silva. Who is going to make up our last defender?
I guess
we're going to go for Ben Davies because Clement Longley hasn't played too much.
Boys, come on, you can't.
Who's your left? Koulibaly. Ben Davies, the Welsh Maldini, man.
Exactly.
Come on.
He has been one of the most consistent defenders in the last 6 months or so in the Premier League.
You just literally told me a consistency argument doesn't matter with Azpilicueta. I'm sorry, Kalidou Koulibaly is better than Ben Davies. End of conversation.
Look, I'd love to sit here and start making arguments for Ben Davies, however good he has been for us since Conte has come in. You're talking about Kalidou Koulibaly, who's been one of the best defenders in Europe for the past however long.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, fantastic.
Oh, well,
So
we'll
that's
give you
2 all.
Koulibaly.
That's 2 all.
We'll give you Koulibaly.
Let's go to right wing back
Oh,
first. Who are we going to go for? Emerson, Doherty,
I guess.
We'll go for Matt Doherty.
I think we should go for Reece James. Should we just leave it?
I think we should save ourselves some embarrassment. We'll just stick Reece James in there straight away.
In terms of goals and assists,
It's simple. I've known you for a very long time, and it's very hard to have a
goals
conversation about it.
goal contributions per 90. I think you're looking at
Reece
maybe
James.
probably still Reece James
Yeah.
actually. All
Reece
right,
James.
all right.
Look,
Okay.
Reece James goes into right wing backs. That's
Left
3-2 to Chelsea. Left wing back. I think we got to put in Ivan Perisic for that one.
But he's barely played.
So is Koulibaly.
Yeah, you come on. If you can know,
if you can put in Koulibaly, we can put in Perisic.
Yeah, surely.
Okay, but you're looking at Perisic. We got Cucurella or Chilwell.
Okay, so pick
Okay,
one.
it's a tough one.
Ivan Perisic has also been one of the best wing backs in Europe the past couple of years.
Who you put in? Chilwell, Cucurella? You have to pick one first.
Who's your starting left wing? Who was your starting left wing back in the last game?
It was Sessegnon, but
So
that's because
Sessegnon.
Perisic wasn't fully fit just yet.
But he came on for half an hour.
Hold on, so what was it? Who's the other options you normally have there?
Sessegnon, well, Reguilon's still there, but he's off pretty much. It's basically them two, Perisic
We're
or
picking, I think it's
Sessegnon.
better.
But we're going to pick Perisic.
We have to pick one. Chilwell
It's
or
really
Cucurella?
hard. If you're taking both at the peak of their powers, Ben Chilwell was one of the best wing backs in Europe, easily, last season before he got injured. Like, him and Reece James were so pivotal to how we played. And then he still won the penalty despite not being fully fit, despite not being as match sharp, which he admitted in a TV interview, which, by the way, I think takes a lot of balls as a modern footballer to turn around and go, by the way, I'm still not quite at my best, but I still delivered. I think, well, if you look at numbers, I think Chilwell still outperformed Perisic over the past, say, 18 months, because he's been obviously out for 6. I think Ben Chilwell just edges it. I think purely, I'm looking at how this team would play as well, and I just think that if you had the Chelsea wing backs in this combined 11, shall we say, I think the way that they, operate
That's
together
just a
as
cop
well.
out to get more Chelsea players.
It's not a cop out.
Yes, it is. Oh, we have to go tactics. Now it's going to be no player.
Because they play for each other in the same. That basically put the whole Chelsea team in because they all play with each other every week. You know what I mean?
There's you could just turn around. The Spurs players walk into Chelsea teams as much as Chelsea players walk into that Tottenham team. I think if you take the wing backs, considering how both systems work as well, by the way, the wing backs are so important.
There's a reason why you wanted to sign Perisic in January, by the way.
Which is, because Ben Chilwell was injured.
And potentially he's better too. Because you're talking about someone that was central to Inter Milan winning the league under Conte, produced a lot of goals and assists for them. You're talking about someone that won the Champions League as well, with Bayern Munich, I think it was. So you're talking about a player with big pedigree. And not only big pedigree, but he also produced last season massively for Inter Milan. He got the biggest output of any wing back in Serie A.
What's he like defensively?
Defensively.
He's
a workhorse,
This whole
He's an absolute workhorse.
This is why I hate this wing back conversation, because whenever people talk about wing backs now, granted they need to be fantastic going forward, no one talks about defensive output.
Yeah, because it's not as important.
But you're a defender. You still need to be able to
you're not.
defend.
You're a wing back.
Yeah, which they still defend.
Yes, but they attack more. It's an attacking position.
They're part of a back five when they're defending.
And they're also part of a front five. There's an attacking. It's more of an attacking position defensive.
But it's
because you
still
have a back
defensive
three there.
output,
You have a
man.
back three.
It's still
so you have more cover, and you have 2 defensive midfielders. There's a reason for that. So you can push the wing back forward. It's like Trent. It's obviously more important.
Well, Trent, one of the most overrated fullbacks in the world.
Also one of the best fullbacks in the world.
Trent's so overrated it does my head in. I can't. Literally every time
We
a
have
team attacks Liverpool,
two different views of the game.
What side do they go down?
And how many assists does he get? What, 20 assists a season?
He's not by the way, he's not a wing back. He's part of a back four.
Yeah, he's a fullback. Yeah.
He's a fullback.
So yes, defensive game comes into more, but wing backs is more important for attacking.
But yes, they're still part of that defensive resilience, the defensive. Whenever you see a team which has a 3-back defend, they have the back 5 as a unit. You then have the 2, and then you have the 3 tuck in. It almost becomes a 5-4-1. So when they're defending, the shape is important. Is Perisic has he done it defensively in the Premier League? Has he done it at the top level defensively? Because when he was at Bayern Munich, he was a left winger and a striker. He wasn't a fullback.
That's true.
So I think at this point, Ben Chilwell. I'm going to put forward Ben Chilwell. I'd look. Mark Cucurella's done it at Brighton. Been a fantastic player at Brighton. I'm really interested to see how he does it at the top level. I can't put him forward because he's not done it there yet. I think Ben Chilwell is a better wing back overall play, because I do consider defensive pedigree as well as attacking pedigree, because again, wing back, despite being very important going forward, is still important defensively. Ben Chilwell was so important to Chelsea before he got injured, was so important to that Champions League run, was so key in going forward as well as defensively as well. His output was superb in both areas. Ben Chilwell, I think, edges it purely because that is his position. That is who he is. If Ivan Perisic hasn't done it in the Premier League, where it's a lot faster, we've seen players come over from the Serie A. Romero's been fantastic, but if we're looking at players, the vast majority that come from the Serie A do struggle a little bit in terms of just that crossover, because the most of them have come to Chelsea and most of them have already left. So it's like,
How are we going to settle this then? How are we going to settle
do you
this
want to
one?
toss a coin? Are you deadly serious? Do you want to toss a coin?
I think
'Cause we're not,
I just
we're not
think
gonna get there.
it depends
Or do
what you
slash?
value more. But I think from an attacking point of view, Perisic completely is better than Chilwell. I don't think that's a debate. I think in terms of his ability to take people on, get cross in the box, his finishing ability, which is very important in Conte's wing-back system, and as a wing-back, I think Perisic for sure is better. Defensively, I agree, Chilwell probably edges it out. But I think the difference between Perisic's attacking ability to Chilwell versus the difference between Perisic's defensive ability to Chilwell, I think it's bigger, the attacking.
I don't have a coin, but we might have to go for Ben Perisic. Ben for his defensive capabilities and Perisic for his attacking output, something like that, you know what
Just
I mean?
put the slash in. I'd say let the people decide, but we know exactly where that's going to go in it. So,
Anyone got a coin? Alright, pass me the coin.
come on, heads or tails?
Alright,
it in
Louis,
the
you
air.
call it in the air.
Alright, fine.
Whatever you call is
going
Ben
with.
Chilwell.
Heads.
Tails it is.
Perisic! Justice
Heads.
done.
And we'll keep that coin there. Alright, so what we got so far? We got Lloris in goal, Reece James right wing back, Cuti Romero right centre back.
Can't flip the coin on that, by the way.
No,
Silva,
Thiago
Koulibaly.
Silva centre back, Koulibaly left centre back, and Ivan Perisic left wing back. Let's talk about the midfield now.
Can't say thank you, move on.
On the right hand side, we'll go for Rodrigo Bentancur, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll go for Bentancur and Højbjerg, right?
Yeah.
So Kovacic and Kante. Okay, carry on.
So Bentancur against
Kovacic.
Kovacic.
That's very, very easy. It's done. Best ball player in the world in terms of holding
In the
onto
world?
it. In the world, in terms of dribbling, holding onto it, in terms of just the physicality in midfield and just being progressive, being that ball carrier. We were talking about Bentancur as a player which just keeps it easy, keeps it simple, moves the ball about. That's exactly what Kovacic does, but he does it better, and he's done it for Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Real Madrid and Chelsea, all at the top level. So
You played for Bayern Munich?
he did indeed.
Kovacic?
Yep.
I remember that.
So
I find it difficult to disagree a little bit. I love Bentancur and I love what he's brought since he's come to Tottenham. But Kovacic does have the time on him. He's been at Chelsea for how long now?
this is his third season, I think.
Third
Third
season.
or fourth season.
Won the Champions League. But Bentancur has done it with Juventus. You know, he's won a lot of trophies with Juventus.
Yeah, I could win a lot of trophies with Juventus.
Can you?
Even Ronaldo couldn't.
Before Conte's Inter, he won the Serie A. Ronaldo. I mean, Juve
struggled to keep up.
at the time when he was when Rodrigo Bentancur was a regular.
It's a hard
Juve,
argument to
he won.
make Bentancur.
I would
over
say
Kovacic.
Bentancur's probably better defensively than Kovacic, but Kovacic is so much better than him on the ball. That's the problem. So
I love that. Thank you.
I would say Kovacic probably shades it in terms of quality, but I think Bentancur's in like defensively. I think he's better than Kovacic.
I think potentially by the next time we play you, it could be a conversation to have.
Could be.
But
again,
right now,
you've
you've got to say Kovacic.
I mean, Bentancur seems like one of those players. If you don't watch him regularly, you don't appreciate him as much. Which is fair enough.
So then what? Højbjerg versus Kante.
Højbjerg versus Kante. I think we just can swiftly move on from
Cool.
that.
Thank you very much.
Højbjerg's in better form.
Yeah.
That's true.
Højbjerg is in better form. But if I,
Højbjerg's in better form.
But look, if I asked
you
you-
admitted it.
if I asked you who are you taking, Kante or Højbjerg? You're
Well,
taking
Kante right now though.
You are though.
Am I? I don't know. Kante recently has been not great.
Stop talking.
Kante recently hasn't been good. We can agree on that, right?
We can agree on
Can
that.
we
but
agree that Kante's been off form or not? Can we not agree on that, Louis?
Oh my god.
Yes or no?
I've actually just physically.
Has
had to bang my
Kante
head
been
against
on
the
form or
table.
not? Has Kante been
I've
on
actually
form?
just had to bang my head against the table.
Has he been on form or not? Yes or no? Just answer the question.
Kante, I don't even need. He is the most important player in that Chelsea team.
Has
The
he been
manager
on
said
form?
it. We're not. This is not a conversation.
I'm just asking, has he been on form or not?
Ben, tell him. Ben,
I'm just
tell him.
asking.
He's asking a question.
I'm just
answer
asking
it.
a question. Has he been on form?
He's not been on form, but he's still been.
For how long has he not been on form?
He's probably, like I'd say, the past 2-3 months of the season.
So past 2-3 months, Højbjerg's been
But guess
better.
what? He's still better than Højbjerg when he's not in form. You can still.
Not when
watch
he's not in
Kante.
form.
Oh my God, Sim, you're actually.
Højbjerg's been better than Kante in the past 3 months.
Please stop making yourself look stupid. Please stop making yourself look stupid.
I'm willing to concede that Kante's a better player.
Good. Guess
if
what?
you're
Guess
willing
what?
to concede
Guess
that
what?
Højbjerg's
Guess
in
what?
better form.
Guess what? If you're willing to do that, then just shut the fuck up.
It's Højbjerg's in better
easy.
form right now.
Please
Look,
stop
I
making yourself look stupid.
think you got to put Kante in. I'm
I
afraid.
was slightly worried. Oh my
No, you got to put Kante in.
All right, we'll put Kante in.
So it's Kante and Kovacic in the middle, and the front three. I think we can just breeze over that and say Spurs get all three players.
Son
in
and
there.
Kane, definitely.
Son over Sterling, yeah.
So yeah, let's go for it from left to right. So Son against Sterling. Son.
Yeah.
Kane against Havertz. Kane.
Have that.
On the right hand side, who are you putting forward?
Probably forward Mount,
Mount.
who I think has been very, very important, and I think he had the most goal contribution and assist in Europe, apart from for an English player as well, apart from James Maddison by 1 goal last season. I think it was like 18, 20 goals and assists combined.
I think he got 11 and 11 or something, no?
So I think it was overall was like 20, I think, odd goals and assists combined.
Yeah, but
in Europe last year.
Kulusevski got nearly that in half the time.
What, 9 and 6 since January
Yeah.
in the league? That's
Yeah.
9 and 6, just in the league since January. You're talking about a whole season here.
Correct.
How
That's my
important it
point.
is.
Kulusevski has nearly got as many goals and assists as
Why are we
Mount.
doing this again?
Are you saying it's not a debate?
I think it's a debate, but then it's shifting the goalposts here.
What's the goalpost?
I
How's
think
the goalpost being shifted?
you're talking about half the time. I think I'm looking at the overall player. I'm not just looking at just goals and assists. I think there are a lot of intangibles in terms of Mason Mount and how important he is to that Chelsea team, and in terms of what he brings, which you can't measure just in stats.
Well, they play different
think-
roles, don't they? Let's be honest.
I think Mason Mount is that water carrier, and also that person who can enable the team. You look at when he's not playing at Chelsea, you just see how we're even more slow and lethargic sometimes. I think Mason Mount's so important, and I think obviously Kulusevski. I'm again not saying he's a terrible player. I think he's fantastic. I really like watching Kulusevski. But I think in terms of general importance and in terms of how Mason Mount enables a team, how he can shift. He's one of the best and most We're talking about Bentancur is incredibly undervalued. Mason Mount's incredibly undervalued because I think if you don't watch him every week, you don't appreciate some of the things that he brings to the team. Just always movement and everything about him.
I think Kulusevski in his position is probably the third best in the Premier League under Mo Salah and Riyad Mahrez. And I don't think you can say Mason Mount can be put on that pedestal.
Not in that position.
Not in that position.
No, if you're going to put him forward for the right-hand side, I think Kulusevski is much better right winger than Mount.
Okay.
In terms of player, you can make that argument maybe.
Okay.
And also, you'd say I'm moving the goalpost, but you started your argument by using goals and assists. So when I bring it forward, it's not moving the goalpost. That's just using your argument.
I'll give you
And also
Kulusevski if I can have Aspilicueta at the right wing, the right
There's
centre.
There's no trades.
There's
All the
no
other
trade.
positions are locked in.
And also, forgive me if I'm wrong, he scored 11 goals last season, Mount, and I'm pretty sure 7 of them were against Norwich. Am I wrong in saying that?
So how many goals did Kulusevski get against Norwich? Just check in. How many did he score?
He got 2. But
Wow.
he got
Yeah,
but he scored against Man City, right? He scored against Leicester. He scored in big games as well, and he got 14 goals and assists in 18 games or something ridiculous like that. Like Mount can't compete with that.
It's a Tottenham channel. I've got 2 Tottenham fans.
Yeah, I'm making good points.
Can I
That's it. He has to go to the argument when I'm making a good point.
Can I be honest? I just can't be asked. Have him.
We'll take it.
Have him.
We'll
Fine.
take him. All right. And finally, the managers.
Oh,
Thomas Tuchel or Antonio Conte. Seeing as you've had Antonio Conte as your manager before, and now you've got Thomas Tuchel, who's winning for you?
I think Thomas Tuchel just edges it.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Come on.
How's Conte's Champions League Cup?
How many titles does Tuchel have?
He's got enough. He's got enough European titles.
I think one with Liga.
He's currently.
He has one with Liga.
He's currently champion of the world. I'd like to add as well.
How many league titles does he have? One, I think.
How many world titles does he have? If you want to go league titles, how many Champions League titles does Conte have? We can play tennis.
Do you genuinely believe Tuchel's a better manager than Conte? Genuinely.
You've just asked, how do I feel about both? And I think based on how it went with Conte at Chelsea, I value what he did. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he definitely is someone who, he could get the best out of some average players. He really can. But so can Thomas Tuchel with his system. He also doesn't throw his toys out of the pram. He deals with situations less emotively.
Did you not see him after that Arsenal friendly?
I saw him after the Arsenal friendly, but guess what? Overall, in those big moments, if you want someone who's not going to lose their shit...
I mean, he loses his shit fairly often, Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, he does, but he deals with it in a lot more... I think there's a lot more of a methodical way. Rather,
I don't know what, he's Klopp and Guardiola always losing their shit.
They're losing their shit, but they still manage to find a way to deal with it, I think.
So does Conte.
You asked me, because I've had both, and I've looked at both. Conte, when he threw his toys out the pram, when he didn't get it his own way, which, by the way, if that happens at Tottenham, you will see it as well. If he doesn't get his own way, and he can't deal with that, that is it for Conte. He has one game plan. One, that's it. If it gets torn apart and he loses it, that's it. It's game over. Thomas Tuchel has adapted players and moved certain things and tried different things, and definitely been someone who, when our backs are against the wall, I look at that Real Madrid game and I'm thinking, having seen Conte in action, having seen Tuchel in action, that Real Madrid game, despite losing it, I think a lot of people towards the back end of it, I feel like, do you know what, Chelsea might actually do this. Apart from that, those last 2 minutes.
Let's be honest, you are talking about a game that you lost and you went out.
It's a very Spursy thing to talk about then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So looking at that situation...
That's why I was talking about Chelsea, isn't maybe the term is changing.
You're looking at when our backs were against the wall in that situation. I don't think Conte would have dealt with it with the same style or even got the best out of the players that Tuchel did. I think even though it's a game we lost, I can still look at that. But like, it's one way you can be sort of proud, like, you know what, we gave it everything. I don't think the players would have done the same thing for Antonio Conte at all. And I love him. I love Antonio Conte. I love the passion. I love the fight. I love what he can do with the team. And if he's given the tools to do it, he can absolutely do it. But on the European stage with Inter Milan, he failed. On the European stage with Juventus, he failed. In the Euros with Italy, he failed. Even though he did well with an average Italian squad. You're talking about big moments. You've got somehow, with a team that's had Carlo Ancelotti as its manager, had some top draw players, had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, had Neymar, had Mbappe, had these amazing talents who also had a lot of ego. Tuchel got the best out of those players and got them to a final when no one else could. And by the way, he gave a hell of a game and just about lost it.
If you want to talk about domestic football, there's no one that has a better record in the past however many years than Antonio Conte. There's literally nobody. At Juventus, how many times did he win the league?
3.
3 times in 4 years?
I think he won every year, didn't he?
Well, 4 times in 4 years then.
He didn't win it the first season, I don't think. So
okay.
I think was it 7? I don't know.
At Chelsea, how many years was he at you? Won the league once?
Yeah, finished
2 years.
He finished won the league once, finished 5th the season after.
With an FA Cup.
With an FA Cup. Okay. At Inter Milan, he won the league there, which nobody saw coming really at Inter Milan.
Fair enough.
And at Tottenham, he came in halfway through a season where we were dead and buried, couldn't even get a shot on target. And nobody put us in the conversation for top 4 and got us in the top 4. So you can't compare Tuchel and Conte domestically. You just can't.
Then again, this I feel that's another coin toss because we've got.
It can't be a coin toss because
you've got the biggest stage in the world and he's delivered.
I know you in your heart. I know your actual opinion is Conte is a better manager. I know that's a fact because it can't be. You can't think that Tuchel's a better manager than Conte.
The fact that I've literally had to sit and think, and you've seen me quiet for quite a significant period.
No, you can't.
I
don't believe you actually.
I think there's a balance to it, and I think looking at everything.
Do you reckon Tuchel would have got us top 4 if he came in last season when Conte did?
I don't know because it wasn't Tuchel. I don't know.
Yeah, but you just said that they wouldn't have played the same under Conte for that Madrid game.
I don't know. I'm genuinely I'm really struggling in terms of picking between the two. Like it's not me being difficult on purpose. Like I genuinely can't decide.
I think Antonio's completely clear. I really do.
Flip the coin.
What do you say, Sim?
Obviously, I'm sticking by Antonio. I don't think. Look, Antonio's won 5
I don't even think
titles.
it's a comparison. I really don't. Like I said to you before on your show, I think Guardiola, Klopp, and Conte are in a league of their own in terms of managerial ability, and I think Tuchel is just at that level below. And until he does it, consistently domestically and in Europe altogether, then I don't think you can put him on that pedestal.
I physically am struggling because I understand the argument, but it's like I just because I've had both coaches. I can't choose. This isn't me being a Chelsea fan and being. I genuinely am struggling because both have fantastic qualities that the other don't. They're not I wouldn't say polar opposites, but they're so different but so similar, and both have their merits and their dismerits. Conte wears a wig, Tuchel's got great hairline, Conte's got great ears, Tuchel looks like the Champions League trophy. I genuinely flip a coin. That's why when you asked me and I was sat thinking, I was like trying to find a way, not to just be like, okay, it's Tuchel, but I'm like, who would you rather have? And I just look at the overall situation that we face with Conte, and when the backs are against the wall and when it was tough, who would I rather have? That's kind of when you look at things, if you were to break it down to bare bones and be like, if your backs are against the wall and you're really struggling, who do you look to? And Tuchel turned us around when under Lampard people were...
Where did you finish the year before Conte took over?
10th.
And where were we when Conte took over?
I don't know, you tell me.
10th, 9th. Backs against the wall. Where did we turn to? Antonio Conte.
But
actually, when you actually look at it, Antonio Conte is actually the perfect manager to turn to when things are going bad, when you're up against it, when your back's against the wall.
But then when it goes...
Juventus has just been relegated and he turned to Antonio Conte and they started an era of dominance.
Inter Milan hadn't won a league for how long?
They turned to Antonio Conte.
But then look at how it ended at all those situations. Conte didn't exactly go out with a chorus and a choir, did he? Every single one's it went a bit sour.
Yeah, but you look at Thomas Tuchel, he fell out with the PSG board but when he left there. I don't know what happened with Dortmund, but I don't think it ended too well for him there either. So any manager, no matter who you are, when you leave a club, it's because it's not ending well.
I genuinely am struggling, so can we just flip the coin? It's not because I'm trying to be
just say
going
Conte,
with luck. He's going for the
See, this is it. You're banking on the luck. We're banking on the facts.
I'm not banking on the luck. You've asked me, as the person who's had both managers, and I've gone, shit, I don't know. Not again, and it's not just me being difficult. I like.
You are being.
I'm not being difficult. I'm not being
Say
difficult.
Conte.
You just want me to say. I don't bow to peer pressure.
Say the truth.
This is not school. I
You
will
know
not
it
bow
to
to
be
peer
true.
pressure.
You believe
Flip
it in
the
your
coin.
heart.
Flip the
I
coin.
bet you'd bow to peer pressure if I told you to pick Tuchel.
Flip the coin. Flip the coin. Do it.
This isn't worth a coin toss. This really isn't.
Fine, you can do the slash then. You can have Ben Perisic and Tony Tuchel.
Well, Perisic won on the coin toss because that one was worth a coin toss.
Come on, you can't. Oh.
You've asked me as someone who's had both. I'm telling you my answer. I don't know, and I just struggle.
Shall we just leave that one open and let the commenters decide?
All right.
That's fair enough.
All right, you guys put below who do you think is the better manager? Is it Antonio Conte or is it Thomas Tuchel? But before we wrap up, let's run through that team once again. So we've got Hugo Lloris in goal. We've got a right wing back of Reece James, a left wing back of Ivan Perisic, a right centre back of Cuti Romero. In the centre, we've got Thiago Silva. Next to him, we've got Kalidou Koulibaly. We've got a middle two of Kovacic and Kante, and we've got a front three of Kulusevski, Kane, and Heung-min Son. So who's got more players there?
I think we shade it. We have
Just
6,
about.
right?
Yeah.
We have 6 players there, and Chelsea have 5.
That sounds about right.
All right.
Plus we have the manager.
Again, I'm not having a. You asked me who would I have? I'm 50-50.
Well, let's just leave it there. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Put in the comment section below what your combined 11 would be. Where did we go wrong? Where did we go right? Let us know in the comment section below. Louis, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Fun.
And we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.
No.